Well, good afternoon. It is Friday, May 7th. This is episode 74 of Bob and Bill Podcast. And this is an exciting day for us here at America's Keswick because we're going to be welcoming back a lot of our grads for the Colony and Barbers Place reunion weekend. Robert is still undergoing treatments of some form, so continue to pray for Robert and Joyce as they walk this journey. The other thing that you need to know is in addition to our podcast being now available on Facebook Live, Boxcast, and YouTube, you can now do podcasts, the 230 ones, on iTunes and Spotify. So if that's one of your social media platforms, I want to encourage you to check that out and spread the word. So we're going to interview Dr. Lynn Johns, who is the director of the Barbers Place Ministry, and Allie is here. Allie is the wife of Jim Lang, who is my assistant, and doing a great job, also serves in guest services. So I thought it would be good today. We have a lot of folks now that are watching, and I know that because I'm signing receipts, people who've given to the ministry, we don't recognize their names, and so many of them are tying back to our podcast. Mm-hmm. So let's take a couple of minutes and step back. Let's talk about, well, what is Barbers Place? Let's give them a little bit of history. Why Barbers Place? How did Barbers Place start? So they know what it is. We can't make an assumption that they
know who we are.
Okay.
Well, Barbers Place is our women's ministry here. We are a 6 to 12 month program, and we work with women 18 and above, dealing with any life bondage, life hurt, life struggle that really is an impediment to not only their spiritual growth, but just being able to live life victoriously like God calls us to. And so that's kind of who we are in the moment. We're only an 8-bed facility because, way back about 30 some years ago, when Keswick was talking about it and dreaming about it, there've been a lot of different, I remember having been here 17 years now, that, there was a place at this part of the property, but God said no. Then we looked at a place in the Lakehurst area and God said no. And, and we kept thinking God was saying no, but all along, God actually moved it on the property, which we thought was the no.
Yes, because
don't tell God no.
That's right. Because a lot of our leadership was like, there's no way that we could bring the men and women on the same property. Right.
So we're actually blessed, and I think there's a great heritage in that we have renovated and we occupy the home of William Ross, who is the grandson of the founder and the Ross family of Keswick. I got to get my genealogy right. And they raised their daughters here. And so we kind of sit in the Keswick legacy. Beautiful part of the property with a beautiful lawn, and the house has been beautifully renovated for 8 current women. We have other women that are in longer term phases of the program, also living in the house, but for the most part, we're an 8-bed facility. And we are 6.5 years old, coming up very shortly.
What's kind of cool is that while Pastor Bill and his wife really, really didn't want the property on the Barbers Place Ministry and grounds, William Ross, the founder of the ministry, in his vision papers for the ministry, he envisioned that it would be someplace on the ground with the colony. So he got his way.
He did get his way.
Yeah. So I know when we were talking originally, the facility was going to be for 30 women.
Yeah.
And you said it's 8. So looking back now after 6 years, would you like to be a 30-bed facility, or are you content to be 8? And why? And why not?
That's a good question. I've actually been asked this question before, because people say to me, well, now that you're 5 years old or 6 years old, are we going to expand? We're going to build on, the colony is 40 beds. My answer, and I'll give the same answer I do, is no. I said partly because women do best in small community, in family units. I said I could see us having another one just like it on the property where we can do some things together, but not housed together, because women historically work better in small groups, small communities. And believe it or not, you don't even want to be around when there's 8 in the house sometimes. So at 30, I think I would resign.
So let's, obviously the 2 programs are very different. The message is the same. Is with all of our addiction recovery ministries, but let's maybe walk through what is it like in a day at Barbers Place.
So it's definitely very different than the colony. Ours is probably a little bit more class-based, a little less work therapy-based. That's the main difference. So girls are downstairs by 8 o'clock. The cook has to be down by 7:30. She makes breakfast. Rest of the girls are down by 8 o'clock. They have breakfast together in the dining room. They move towards their chore. Each one has one chore that they have for the entire week. That's how we keep our house maintained, to make sure that it looks the way that it does. And then they're going to start with classes right away. So at 9 a.m., they're getting started with their devotions. And pretty much from 9 a.m. till about 4 p.m., they are in classes, all different kinds. We do relationship classes. We do codependency. We talk about boundaries. We talk about God's grand story and what that looks like in the lives of the ladies individually. And then they'll have some free time before dinner, some time to walk the property, some time to just kind of debrief. And then after dinner each night, they have some sort of activity. So on Monday nights, they do Higher Ground, which is a support group that we have. On Tuesday nights, they do the activity center that gives them the opportunity to do something physical, taking care of their bodies. Wednesday and Thursday, they have classes, and Friday and Saturdays are their favorites. They have movie nights and game nights.
So now, do you involve people from the outside to come in to interact with the ladies?
Pre-COVID,
Yes.
Everything is pre-COVID.
Right.
We did. We love to have volunteers that come in. We used to have volunteers that came in, would come in and help do cooking. Every other week she would come in, and one week she would help teach them how to bake something. Another week she would help cook a major meal. They loved that. That was a great time. We've had women that would come in on one of the Fridays or Saturday nights and do different crafts that they would bring in and just interact and love on them. We've had one woman who would come in her pajamas for movie night and the popcorn and just hang out with the girls. We also have had women who took on as mentors. So the girls that are in the program a little bit longer, we want to begin to give them a little bit more freedom and begin to kind of get them interacting. It's a good way to help them see what kind of things are still bothering them or what kind of things are affecting the community, kind of test out their growth. At the same time, be loved on and cared for somebody who doesn't have to. They're not hired to do this. And so we've had mentors that have walked through the program with our women. We have people that drive them to doctors when that's happening. I will say it is good. We are reinstituting the mentorship program starting, I guess, next week officially. And for the 3 women that are in their basically their 6+ months. And so we're looking forward to see how that goes as we baby step it back to normal.
So let's talk about COVID. Obviously, everything changed. What are some of the unexpected blessings that you all experienced as a ministry as you walk through a very challenging year for all of us?
Mm-hmm. COVID was obviously a difficult thing for all of us to swallow and adjust to, but there were so many blessings that came out of it. Probably one of the major blessings is that there were so many different teaching events and conferences that now that people couldn't actually go to them, they were live streaming them. And that became an option for us where we couldn't go out of state and go see them. We could now live stream right from the living room and have this option for more teaching and more biblically based information for the women. We also were able to, because we didn't have as many outside commitments, we were able to really focus on classwork. And so these women were able to focus on things that most of the women didn't have time for in the time frame that they were there. And so they were able to really know and understand who God is and really know and understand who they are. And so it really built this kind of family-like community that we were able to have. So those were some of, I think, the biggest COVID positives.
I think one of the other things we saw is that the women that were here when it happened and their families couldn't come anymore, is that they began to see the focus of, I really do have to focus on myself. And it showed them how much they relied on or needed the affirmation and their families to visit and to find out that God could carry them through that piece. And we even see that a lot now because even though we have visitors back again, it's a little more limited. And, it's not nobody's quite as free. And so there's a difference that they aren't clinging to that like we used to see them cling to it. And it'll be interesting to see what happens when we move back and, it's a greater freedom again.
So right now, if a student wants to come to Barbara's Place, are there steps that you're taking to, did they just come right into the program? Do we put them in a different phase? How are we handling that right now?
That really depends. We have, because of COVID, we actually instituted and we took a group room and we put 2 beds in it. And so we created we call it a stabilization room. We don't like the word quarantine. So it's the area where we bring them in and we kind of even get them stable, just get them, we know their feet are on the ground, we know their head's in the game, and it really allows them to kind of adjust before moving into the greater population, if you want to say it that way. And they all come in, they get a COVID test the morning. We tell them go to CVS right down the street, get your test on your way in. So they are tested, and then we bring them into this area, and then they have kind of a pseudo quarantine because we know more and more about it. Mm-hmm. They actually participate in the classes. They just participate from a distance. And all of our students still wear masks during classes. We still wear them. So they're still wearing masks. They just always are probably 12 feet away from everybody in the house. And then they eat separately, which is when we demask, if you want to call it. So in the beginning, we kept them totally separate. We had a whole different instructor, but we kind of learned along the way that total isolation is as important as protection and separation. And so that's what we do. We have found that to be effective to keep those, especially if they're coming in by themselves. We only have one woman coming in. It's kind of a hard place to be. And then the other thing is if they're coming right from a detox facility. We've had a few that have come right from detox. Detox have actually driven them to us. Detox has already tested them. Detox or test them again in the morning. And so they can come in and go right upstairs because we know we don't have to wait to make sure that there are no symptoms and to get the test results back. So that is another one of those things that's kind of started this way. And as we learn more, we've able to adapt based on those things.
People that are familiar with the ministry sometimes think, well, it's the Colony and Barbara's Place, and they're 2 ministries that deal with addiction recovery. But there's a whole lot more that goes on besides the Colony and Barbara's Place. You've got an umbrella that you call Enrich. Let's unpack Enrich for our listeners.
Okay. Enrich is the umbrella program where we basically offer to the greater community of all the things that we offer the community. And they all have individual names, but we like to just say, that's part of our Enrich program. We have a grief share program, which has been going strong through COVID. We do it both virtually and live right now. And we're starting a brand new season, a brand new curriculum for 6 weeks. Between now and the end of May, never done before. So we're testing the waters with that one. And then we have Higher Ground, which Allie mentioned is a 12-step group on Monday nights. And that's for anyone who's also struggling. Monday nights, we also have a group called Flourish, which is for women who sort of like maybe graduated out of Higher Ground, but still want some continued discipleship and a safe place to grow. Some people don't find, and I'll say this carefully, but some people don't find their church Bible study, women's Bible study, a safe place. So this is a safe place to get the Bible study grow and to really talk about what their struggles are. So we offer that. We offer a program for men called New Creations that also happens on Monday night. We then, on top of that, we have Women of Character and Families for Christ, which is our ministry to the spouses, because we have wives and occasionally we have a few husbands that join. And that is where they meet monthly and come on the property and get to work together as a couple, talk with other couples, be encouraged by grads that come back with their wives and talk about the challenges and kind of the encouragement and it's a little like a cheerleading session to keep going while they get counseling and biblical teaching. And then we offer counseling, individual counseling to the wives and the men, the spouses. And that's that's all free on top of what they already do. And Allie's one of the ones that meets with the girlfriends. So if there's a guy in the colony that has a kind of a long-term girlfriend, a kind of established relationship, Allie will work with those women and kind of help them and reach them. And so we have a support group for the women on Saturdays called Women of Character, and they get to just work through and learn what they have to do for themselves. And we have a discipleship group that follows that if they are interested in continued growth. So I like to say that enrich it's the idea that this is areas that we've come alongside to help enrich their lives in a way that it's kind of our areas of expertise. And so it really is pretty a broad program, and we've seen some really exciting things happen.
Yeah.
We've introduced Keswick to many new people, that's their connection to Keswick. So it is a really good thing. And it's a great thing, all the team that operates to make that component happen. That is not a one-man deal. That's probably 5 or 6 that really kind of pull it all together, and really appreciative that they carry that piece on top of what other things they do.
So if somebody's watching the podcast today, they may not be from this area, or they may be local.
Mm-hmm.
Grief Share is open to them.
Grief Share is open to them. Flourish is virtual.
Okay.
I think Higher Ground is also both virtual and in person right now. So I don't think New Creations is right now, but that ebbs and flows. So They just need to call us, and we will get them in touch and get them the links to be able to do that. But we do have at least 3 groups that are virtual.
Good. So if you want information about our support groups, you can call 1-800-453-7942, or you can visit our website, www.americaskeswick.org. And we also have Love Them to Life,
Yes.
which is for moms who have kids that struggle with addiction.
Yes.
Okay, so Higher Ground, Flourish, and what do I want?
Love Them to Life.
Love Them to Life. They all meet on Monday nights at 7:00.
Right.
And then Grief Share is at 10:00 on Tuesday.
Tuesday mornings, and then the other discipleship group is Saturdays at 10.
There's a lot for you to remember. There's a lot for us to remember. So one of the things that we all learned very quickly as we went into the COVID thing was that part of our survival was we needed to connect with people on a broader scale, which is why the podcasts were birthed, why we do the worship lives at 1:30 with Robert and Joyce. But you're doing a podcast on Wednesday at 2:30, and then it rebroadcast on Thursday at 7. Tell us about that. I believe it's called Recovery Unplugged.
I think that's what it's called. I don't know. I just tape them. Well, Juan Mendez and myself, and we recruit again some of our other staff members, and we take a topic each week that talks about areas of our lives that to kind of hone in on and to offer growth in. A lot of them are topics that those in recovery are looking for and asking for. Others are just things that we just know is good tools and information to walk through life. And that's really our goal, is to give you a snippet of another tool and another way to walk relationally with each other, relationally with God, and to really walk victoriously. And Allie's done a few, and it's kind of been a cool thing.
So if you've never engaged with us, that's on Wednesdays at 2:30, and then it rebroadcast on Thursday at 7. You can check them out on our Keswick YouTube channel, which is America's Keswick 1. All the podcasts are available there, but you can now look at all the podcasts on Spotify and iTunes, and we're real excited about that. Okay, so God has assembled a team to serve at Barbara's Place. Tell us about you and your team. Let's talk about the different team members. And we'll flash their pictures up there.
Oh, good.
Zach is really good at this.
Well, my name is Dr. Johns. I have actually been here at Keswick. I believe this is coming on, finishing my 18th year here. I've worn many hats on this property. And you know, that's a God thing and how that has played out over time. But my background is in counseling and working with women and, men working through issues in life. And so I've worked in residential programs before. So this was a really nice fit for kind of how God had kind of established and did different things in my life. I'll let Allie tell about herself, and then I'll.
Okay,
talk
before
about
you
what
go
else.
back there, so you're also married to Bill Johns.
Oh, I'm also married to Bill Johns. Let's not forget my better half. Let's not forget my more humorous half. Let's not forget my more energetic half.
Okay.
Yes.
And Bill serves as our director of housekeeping.
He's the director of housekeeping.
He's also a graduate of the Colony Mercy.
Yes. So you should have introduced me. He also serves as the director of housekeeping, and yes, he is an amazing product of what the colony does and what Christ does, because he came to the colony not as a Christian, and this is where he got saved and found Christ. And he's a different person, and restored relationship with his family and all those things because of what God has done in his life.
And you have a new...
Well, yes, and we have a new granddaughter. Her
Okay.
name is Gianna June, and she is almost 2 months old. Probably yesterday, 8 weeks old.
Wow.
Yeah, she's a handful. She's just like her mother, and so her mother's getting a run for her money. But she's a I'm prejudiced, but she's a beautiful little girl. And she looks like the Italian side of the family,
So
not the
she's
German
lots of
side. Yeah, she takes after the Italian side of the family, not the German side of the family. But it's fun to be able to get to go up and spend time with her and do that.
And you're also Joyce's sister.
I am.
Or Joyce is your sister, however we
Joyce,
want
I
to
came
package that.
first, so
Okay.
Joyce is my sister. Joyce is my baby sister. And so, yes, and that's really, it was through Joyce that I originally came here, expecting to make a little short-term 1-year stay. And here I am 18 years later. Yes, Joyce is my sister, and it's an amazing relationship to work with family, and it's a good thing. So, yeah.
All right, Allie, we'll do you now.
I was going to say, I don't sing like my sister, so don't ask me to.
Okay.
So as Bill mentioned, my name is Allie Lang, and I actually came to Keswick because of my better half, my husband, Jim Lang. He also went through the program, and that was kind of my introduction to addiction. And initially, I didn't think I was cut out for this. I didn't think I had what it took to be able to be here. And I remember that for his covenant graduation, he and I were in the gazebo, and he was just like, wouldn't it be the coolest thing if one day we lived and worked here? And I shot up an immediate prayer to God and said, absolutely not. I'm not coming here. I'm not working here. I'm not built for this. I can't do it. And a year later, we were married and living here. So God has a wonderful sense of humor. And I began actually just hanging out with the girls on Tuesday nights at the activity center, just getting to know them and seeing if I even had anything to offer them. And I loved it immediately. The women had my heart instantly. And so I ended up going back to school just to be able to get a job at Barber's Place. And so I'll be finishing up my master's in May. In human services, and I have a bachelor's in psychology, and that was literally just for this program and literally just for these women, and I fell in love with it immediately. And so it took a little while. I had to wait for a position to become available, but in God's perfect timing, he opened up that door. And I love everything about what I do there. I'm just blessed by the women. I'm blessed by what I get to do with them and get to see them move from such a place of shame and desperation and hopelessness, and then watch them just see who they are in Christ and come alive and find that freedom and find that victory, and just to be able to see them then go out. And one of the things I love about our program is that we stay in touch with all of our grads. And so they're not done with us after they graduate the program. And so being able to see women who have graduated years ago, still doing well and still flourishing, it makes every bit of this job worth it.
And you also serve as our summer staff coordinator.
I
And
did.
did a great job with that. And you and Jim lead worship from time to time for our events. And so we're really proud of you. Now, you have a unique ministry in that you right now have 2 boys and a girl, if I remember correctly.
Yes, 3 children. All have 4 paws. My fur babies, but they are definitely our life. We started rescuing 3 years ago, and we now have 3 beautiful kids that we love so much, and they definitely are the light of our life.
Yeah, and they're the cutest babies. I mean,
They really
except
are.
for the one. I'm a little scared of him.
He's a little overprotective, and
Yeah,
so,
but he's making it. Okay, let's talk about the rest of your team.
Okay, well, so Allie and I, we do a lot of the counseling part and the teaching part, but we have one other person who does a lot and carries some of the counseling role with us, and that is Megan. Megan is actually also finishing up her master's degree. It's her second master's degree. And she got a master's in psychology, but wanted more of a practical rather than just the head knowledge. And so she went back to get a clinical psychology. And she came here to do her internship with us. And we have just fallen in love with her. She has really just fallen in place in our program. And she loves the girls, and she's a very good counselor. And so Megan gets to share the load with us, and she's courageous and ready to take on new things. So we're really excited about that. And then we have two other staff members that are, they are the emotional, caring, really moms of the house. And that's Lisa. Lisa is, she just loves on the girls. She is like, she loves nights. So I love her. And she just, she loves on the girls. She does all kinds of fun things with the girls, but she has such a gentle spirit. She loves God. She loves to share, and just talk with them at night and kind of talk through the struggles. And she really becomes to a lot of them sort of that mom or big sister that they've never had. And she does a great job in the classes that she teaches. And so Lisa's just been a wonderful asset. Her background is actually in education. And so she kind of came to us after raising all her kids and homeschooling her kids and working in the regular school, in Christian schools. And then Terry Van is, she's just a ball of life. Terry just is our most recent member on our staff, and Terry's got a really heart to teach the word. She's got a great and unique way of, kind of speaking truth into their lives, and kind of, when we interviewed her, she came up with all these little sayings, and we're just like, wow, she just has all these kind of neat ways to throw nuggets out with them, and she's kind of falling in love with us. She's adjusting. We're kind of a whole different breed because she actually came. She does women's ministry at a church in the Trenton area. And she used to work for Princeton University in the Einstein House, running a bed and breakfast for a bunch of smart people. So we've kind of, changed it. We're all very smart.
I was going to say that. I was wondering where that was going.
We're all very
wow.
smart at Barbara's Place, but we're
maybe not Einstein smart.
Maybe not Einstein smart. Maybe not Princeton smart, but so she's come in and she's really kind of really finding her place and fitting in. And it's a great group of women that just sort of create a blend of different strengths, where you watch God when one leaves. We're always wondering who's going to take the place and how's that going to happen. And we just watch God supply a need that maybe we didn't even know that just kind of works really well. So, it's really a core group of 5 right now. I mean, Deira teaches a class for us and does a lot with the Enrich and the wives. And Deira, I know, has been on some of the podcasts before. She's Juan Mendez's wife, who is the colony director. And then we have a former staff member that still works and does the Flourish. That she took that on. She loves that, and she's very good at that. And so she's kind of still doing that from afar. And that's just a great thing, that it's hard to disconnect from Keswick. And so it's great that they don't really want to fully. So
one of the questions that we all get asked that are involved in the ministry is, what does success look like for a graduate of the Barbara's Place program or the colony? And I just had somebody yesterday say, well, in terms of your program versus the government, how successful are you? How would you two define success for a Barbara's Place graduate?
So I'm probably going to define success a little differently than the world might define it, because I think the world defines success with no more relapses, just not ever picking up a drink, not ever picking up a drug again. And ultimately that is the goal, but it's not the only goal. One of our main goals is that the women would know, first of all, that if they were to relapse, if there were to be some kind of struggle afterwards, that they are still completely loved by God, that their identity in Him has not changed. He does not love them any less. He does not love them any more. But the second goal would be that they would know that there is no disappointment on the end of the staff here at Barbara's Place, that at any point in time, even in the midst of the relapse, that they can pick up that phone, that they can call us, and that we are going to love on them, support them, engage with them, whatever we can be to them. And so we've had so many success stories where there was no relapse afterwards, where they were able to be completely victorious of their addiction. But we've also had some stories where they've left and they've had a struggle because life hits you hard, especially these days. And they've called and they've reached out, and that's been their only relapse. And they've been able to pick themselves back up and continue from where they left off. And to me, that's much more of what life is going to be like. We're going to stumble. We're going to make mistakes. None of us are going to be able to live in full victory this side of heaven. But if we're able to live in a community that picks each other up afterwards, that to me is success.
And I think, it's hard to kind of say much more than that, except that, in life, our Christian walk is a sanctification process. And really, success is moving them along the next part of that process for them. And for some, we're sort of the early stages of the sanctification process. We're the early stages of building the foundation and the footwork. And then we either continue with them in pieces, but we also pass them on and let other people continue the growth process. So in a lot of ways, for some, even the ones I think that have left and not done super well, is they're still not where they were. And they still are functioning at a higher level and a more hopeful level than they were, even though their process is, got a whole lot, many more burdens that they are wading through, or support systems that have failed them. And so I think success is, we've offered them Christ, we've offered them hope, we've shown them a new identity, we've healed them of so much of their past so that their baggage when they leave is less. And they can walk freer and really begin to journey on the next phases of the Christian life, which, for all of us is, constantly changing. And so success is not that they're complete. Success is that they have moved along into a more positive direction and a hopeful direction.
So if you two had an opportunity today to sit down eyeball to eyeball with somebody that is struggling and needs Barbara's Place, what would you tell them today?
Well, I think I'd tell them first and foremost that you are loved by the creator of the universe, and that it starts right there, knowing and understanding that right now in your messiest state, where you might look at yourself and not see anything worth saving, that he sees everything worth saving, that he already paid an ultimate price for you by going to the cross, deciding that you are right now worth it. And so I would tell you to know that that is truth, and that even if you can't believe it, that that's something that you can rest on. And then second, I would say you need somebody. You need help and community. It's really impossible to beat addiction isolated and all by yourself. And so reaching out to community is that first step, whether it's reaching out to us or maybe reaching out to somebody that you know before reaching out to us, whatever that looks like. That next step is bringing somebody else into your battle.
I always want to say there's hope. There's hope in Christ. There's healing in Christ. Your past is not who you are. Your past happened to you, or it's things that you have chosen to do, and there are consequences, but God has answers. We want to walk you through that journey. I love to say in many short words is that, if you come to us, we're going to show you the love of Christ. We're going to offer you community and maybe a love and a belonging that you've not felt. And after we've shown you the love of the Christ, we're going to offer you faith in Christ and show you all of what that means. And you're going to walk out of here with hope in Christ. And that's really important.
So if there's somebody that needs the Barbara's Place ministry, how can they get information? How can they connect with Barbara's Place?
Well, you can call us, and we would love to walk you through and answer all of your questions, walk you through our application process. Our number is 848-227-4590. You'll follow the prompts and know exactly what to do after that. But we'd love to talk to you. That is what we like to do. We don't just like to send out applications. We really want to talk about our program, talk about them, and we want to start the connection with everyone right at that point. And all of my staff will answer. I will answer the phone. Anybody who is there will talk to you about the program. We're always there to walk you through the process from beginning to end. Basically, when you make the call to us, you start becoming part of our family.
Yeah.
and we will treat you as such until we walk you through whatever part of the journey you choose to take with us.
Well, we appreciate you engaging with us today in the Bob and Bill podcast. Next week, Robert will be with me. Kind of feel like half of me is missing.
Yeah.
But I want to encourage you to pray for us. This weekend is our Family Freedom Walk tomorrow, our 13th Family Freedom Walk. And the goal is to raise $125,000 for the Addiction Recovery Ministries here. It's going to be exciting to see what God is going to do. At the moment, as long as the weather is okay, we're going to be walking outside, but we do have a game plan if the weather is inclement. But you can come and join us between 3 and 5 tomorrow right here in the beautiful grounds of America's Keswick. And I want to remind you, next week we have our Spring Ladies Day on Wednesday with Margaret Feinberg. If you've not registered, you need to do that. We'll be able to serve around 260 ladies. Make a reservation by calling 1-800-453-7942. And just a reminder that America's Keswick depends on friends like you to support this ministry with your gifts and with your prayers. To make a gift, you can donate online, americaskeswick.org, give now, or you can call in a gift, 1-800-453-7942. It's been good to have you girls with us today. But Lee,
Glad to be here.
Glad we're here.
and check out the ministry of Barbara's Place and pray for us. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll look forward to seeing you next Friday on the Bob and Bill podcast.